Hi, welcome to this new episode of the Phileas podcast. This is it. We're in 2020. I hope you had lovely holidays. Here for me it was a bit very quiet for Christmas as I was full of the cold, so there was a lot of lurging on the couch watching movies, no brain movies, and a lot of knitting, obviously, with loads of nice treats, lots of little chocolates. And for the new year I went, as you know, I've repeated enough times, but this is it, this is the last time I'm gonna say it, and we're gonna get there. I went to Montreal for the new year, so that was good. I'm going to introduce myself because there's more and more people joining this channel and subscribing. Thank you ever so much for that. But if this is the first episode you're watching, you have no clue who I am, so I better tell you then. My name is Sylvie. I'm a French expat. I live in York in the north of England, in North Yorkshire. And you can find me on various social media, but most likely you'll find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is sylvie_phileasyarns. I'll put this information and a lot more information. All the information is on the description box below. I am a hand dyer, a yarn dyer. This is not my main activity. It doesn't pay my rent though, but still I do dye yarn, and I do sell it on my Etsy shop. The Etsy shop is Phileas Yarns, so you can find also the link to the shop in the description box. So today, so as I said, we're going to go to Montreal, so that's going to be nice. And then we're going to talk about some finished objects, some works in progress, and we're also going to talk, because this is 2020, I am going to be exploring with you my stash and all the potential this stash holds, and all the projects that I'm more or less aiming to do this year, because obviously there's no, I'm not one to set anything in stone, but it's nice to have an overview and to, you know, brainstorm. Let's brainstorm together about what I can do about my stash this year. Hopefully the aim for this year will be to knit more than I buy. I'm not sure I did that in recent years. It's a bit, yeah, I mean, I think it's even. I think I'll try to tip the balance as in knit more than I actually buy, so we shall see. So that will be at the end of the episode. I know this is the second time that I'm skipping the parlez-vous knitting section, but although, I mean, it might be a bit more than that for you on the English side of things, because the parlez-vous knitting is really aimed to the French people and to telling them about some culture from the British knitting world. Sometimes that involves vocabulary, in which case I won't talk about it here. So I'm not sure last time I did the parlez-vous knitting here, but anyway, I'll aim to do that again from next episode, depending on the subjects. You may get it, you may not get it, we shall see. So all the timestamps again are in the description box if you want to split this this episode and you have to watch it from another computer or something, God knows. At least you got the timestamp for where, you know, all the sections are. And let's go to Montreal and see you in about 20 minutes or so. Hello, bonjour, and welcome to Montreal. And I'm dying. I don't know where this is coming from. Anywho, today is the 3rd of January. I arrived here on the 31st of December, New Year's Eve. But you know, it was the holiday, and I'm here to visit friends, so it was very, you know, at home and chilling out and catching up. So New Year's Eve arrived in the afternoon, and there wasn't, you know, by the time I arrived, it was time to get cracking with the raclette and celebrate the end of the year. I didn't last until the New Year. I was too tired from the flights and everything, and still a bit sticking of cold, but yeah, it's gone now, thankfully. Jesus. And what else? So yeah, the day before yesterday, so the 1st of January, obviously not much going on. It's the 1st of January, recovering from the night before, and yeah, just went for a little wander in the neighborhood. We are in the Verdun neighborhood, for those who know Montreal a little. And so we went there, so just had a wee wander around, just to you know, shake the cobwebs out a little bit. So that was nice, and fresh air did me some good with my cold. That was good, but not much going on. And yesterday, 2nd of January, it's also a little bit of a bank holiday here, in the way there's a lot of things are still closed, even the big markets such as Atwater Market, that was still closed. So but we had to do some shopping, grocery shopping for this weekend. We're going to we are renting a house in the countryside, in the forest by a lake and everything, so that's going to be nice, in the Oaro forest. So yeah, so yesterday was very much a supermarket, so nothing fancy whatsoever, but like I say, I'm here to visit friends. This is the 3rd time I'm coming to Montreal, so it's touristic when I can, when my friends at work now, so, and the kids at the nursery, so yeah, I've got time to myself, although I do have a little bit of shopping left to do for the weekend, for tonight. So I'm gonna do that and wander about, have my own little time exploring the area, and yeah, so it's not full-on touristic. I'm hoping when we come back from the weekend, I have still a couple of full days, well, let's say a day and a half before I need to fly home. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get to town to do my things. But yeah, so the thing is with this trip is it took me forever to pack. I just absolutely forever to pack. It was just like, well, it's cold, but is it not so cold? And it's starting not so cold, and it's gonna get colder. So it was like, oh, what jacket do I bring? What jacket do I wear? So in the end, I got 2 jackets. Today I'm wearing just my normal coat, which is not so warm, but it's quite mild today. It's 5 degrees, so like in terms of winter temperature, it's quite decent. It's the same as in the UK lately, so it's fine. Yeah, it was like, oh, what kind of accessories do I bring? What kind of sweaters and underlayers and tights and leggings and whatnots. It was very, very complicated. I mean, I think I'm rather good at packing things usually, from the experience of traveling quite a bit, but this one, it was a little bit of a headache to get it going, but got there eventually. So yeah, today's it's quite mild, so I've got just my regular coat, I've got a big shawl, and I've got a little cowl, which is very it's very narrow, so it's quite nice and keep the neck and chest just nice. And it's 100% cashmere, which was a little ball of cashmere that was given to me, and I was just enough to do this little cowl, which is just perfect actually, just to throw underneath another shawl. At least, you know, there's no air, you know, coming in. It's very cozy, but it's not overly kind of like sweaty warm in there because of the cashmere. It's actually a really good accessory for the winter. I'm not even wearing any gloves. It's that mild. The rest is like my usual hats. There's no extra layers or any warmer layers, so that's quite nice. If I get the chance over the next few days, now we're back to some sort of normality of normal life and activities, I'll see if I can get the chance to show you a few things that I've put in my suitcase and present you some project, one of which is a recent finish objects, and actually cut me ends this morning. I nearly forgot about it. I was blocking up until I needed to pack, and I nearly forgot to pack it, so I just grabbed it, shove it in the bag, not even cut my ends. They were all woven in. It's just I cut them after I block. So I did that this morning to put it in the little bag for this weekend, just in case it gets cold and I need to wear it underneath another sweater. But yeah, so we shall see. In the meantime, I'm gonna go get going and do my little wonder bag, my little shopping. And if I have anything else to tell you in the meantime, I'll grab you again. Good morning. We are on the shore of the Lake Chantal in the little area near the town of Chertsey, which is in a regional park of the Whopper forest. It's about an hour and a half from Montreal. And we arrived last night. It was already dark, so the landscape was a total surprise this morning, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm the first one up, so it's super quiet. Nobody's there. It's like I have the entire area just for myself, so it's really cool. The birds are singing or croaking, and had some sort of crow or raven kicking about, I think, while we're here now. Might be a blue jay just flew overhead. I'm not sure. But I did see some blue jays today, which was very pretty. They got scared when I opened the door, so that was really cool. Well, not to scare them away, but to see them as they were kind of like scattering away. So that's fine. And now I'm like, walk to the shore of the lake, which is like, so the house is here. The lake is here with the very elegant do not go sort of police kind of tape. Not to go on the little thingy there, because it must be very very fragile. But if you look at here, there are some traces of deer hoofs going all the way out over there along the shore. There's loads of little animal tracks as well on the lake, so this is really cool. It's like very much in the wild, in the nature. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go back to the house, make myself another cup of tea, probably gonna nap until everybody starts getting up and we do something. This like the house is very well equipped with lots of like board games and things to do, keep us busy. But if it's a nice day, we're probably gonna go out, have a walk, do some sledging. There are some sledges in the house as well, so we just need to find some sort of mound, some sort of slope for adults. The little kitty doesn't need to, just need to be dragged. Very lucky bugger. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna go back to some knitting. I'm working on the second of my Nora socks, and so yeah, I thought that was very portable, and that's nice. Snowed a bit yesterday afternoon and evening. You can see on the car. It's got a little coat of snow. Not much, a little. And it's currently about minus 3, I guess, degrees, or minus, I don't know how to read this. Is it minus 3 or minus 8? Not too sure. Anyway, it's cold. So I guess today is gonna be a bit more sledging. Gonna have to pat the snow on the sled track that we sort of built yesterday. It's hard work, you know. But I guess that's gonna be it. It's gonna be fun, but that's gonna be it. pense une fois que je serai... Ouais. Good morning! We are back in Montreal. Today's Monday the 6th of January, I think. And tomorrow evening I'm flying home. So today everybody's at work, my pals at work, everybody's at work, so I'm taking the opportunity to have a wander about in Montreal centre. It is a little bit snowing, as you can tell. I don't know if you can tell much, but I've got snow all over there. I mean, it's not blizzard, but you know, a little bit exciting for me. I'm not so used to see the snow, and it's a bit chilly. It's not too bad. It might be a bit -6, something like that Celsius. It's a bit chilly, but it's not too bad. So yeah. So the plan today, I'm on Boulevard Saint-Laurent, which is one of the big main arteries of Montreal, and I'm just wandering about looking for some street art. Montreal is quite famous for the big murals and street art, so and going up towards La Maison Tricotée, a local yarn shop in Montreal, which is one of the two very famous ones in Montreal, the other one being Espace Tricot, but that's quite not where I'm going to, but I always like to go to La Maison Tricotée. I like it better in terms to find some Canadians in the dyers and things like that, and you can sit down and have a cup of tea and a biscuit, which is quite nice. I do like the mood of La Maison Tricotée. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm just gonna walk up Boulevard Saint-Laurent, and when it's time to divert towards Guildford Street and La Maison Tricotée, I will do so. got blizzard in my face, only slightly exaggerating. We're getting there. I do appreciate that this sort of Montreal section was a little bit, you know, it wasn't very flawless, you know, it wasn't, you know, but that is because, you know, sometimes it kind of depends the context in which I'm traveling and who I'm traveling with, that I can, you know, film a lot more, or you know, take time to film at home or wherever I'm staying. You know, if I'm on my own, that's not a problem. If I'm with somebody that's quite keen on their videos or photos themselves, then that's not a problem. It's not that, you know, my friends were not keen on me video or photo here, but then it's like with the baby in tow, it was time to yourself, as people with kids will know. I mean, I don't have kids, but you know, when I am around kids, I do see that you have zero time for yourself. So even as an auntie. So yes, so that is what it is. Just a couple of things that are out to tell you. First of all, I did mention about the, did I mention about the galette des rois? The Epiphany? I'm not sure I did so. Anyway, I aim to do Epiphany and do a galette des rois with the puff pastry. I can't remember if I told you I was going to buy puff pastry at Water Market. Because I have not yet edited my English side of the Quebec documentary. Never mind. That I failed to do the galette des rois because I did buy the puff pastry, but then I forgot it. I wanted to do it at the chalet in the cottage, but I forgot it in Montreal in the freezer because that was frozen. And when I got back, I wanted to do it on the Monday, except that I forgot to take it out the freezer before going on my little walkabout, on my little walk in Montreal. Them puff pastries might still be in my friend's freezer for all I know. Never mind. The other thing is, you're probably wondering, how did all these people receive the gifts that I've made them, which I've talked about in the past couple of episodes. They did receive them very well. You would have seen the hats worn during the sledging sessions by my friends Caro and Leo. So that was lovely. The little jumper, obviously Nael doesn't really care himself. He's 18 months old, so it's a sweater. He doesn't get to choose yet. But obviously the parents are very grateful. I know my friend Caro, she knows the value of handmade things, and especially gifts, so that's always a nice thing. And the market bag for Leo's mom, whose name is Christine, was very well received as well. It turns out Christine is a knitter. Them people knitting are everywhere. literally. So she was a knitter, so she obviously appreciated well, the gift and the fact that I've made her something. So that was lovely. And then we carried on talking about knitting and yarn and things like that. So she'd just gone back to knitting after a long time, so she was still like kind of rediscovering, you know. It's quite funny when you meet people on the older side, I suppose, the more mature people, and they've been knitting in their youth, and then they start again now, where the knitting world has changed completely. It's like it's so different, everything that's available now compared to what they had before. So so yeah, so that's it for all the Quebec things, nearly. But in the meantime, I'm gonna move on to the finished objects. So first finished objects, I did mention maybe that I nearly forgot a sweater here in York, because it was in the blocking mat when I packed my suitcase, and I had to dash and grab it, and actually I didn't even, you know, I wove the ends in, but I didn't cut them yet. So I did manage to cut them once in Montreal. That project is this Moon Tea. This is the Moon Tea by Carrie Bustic Charge. Where is it? Here. Moon Tea, Carrie Bustic Hodge, Modernets. The pattern is at £6.65. This pattern is written for a linen yarn, but I did it in wool yarn. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, yes, no, no, yes. I've made it in Rainy of Scotland. What is it? Unique Shetland 4-ply in the nutmeg colorway. I've put this yarn like eons ago, in 2014. This is Deep Stash. This is gonna be a little bit of the Deep Stash podcast as well. So in 2014, and I obviously can't remember how much I paid for it. However, I do believe Rainies of Scotland usually is pretty affordable from my memory, and might still be fairly affordable. So I did that. So that the good thing with the fact that I've made it in actually woolly yarn that's actually, you know, quite toothy. I do love Shetland yarn very much. It's one of my favorite, absolute favorite yarns. Is the fact that this pattern, although has some positive ease about, so I did 110 centimeters bust size, which gives me 14 centimeters ease because I'm a 96 centimeters chest bust. But because it's quite toothy, the yarn is toothy, it doesn't, you know, it's not very boxy, it's not very like huge, doesn't feel huge, it feels quite nice and fitted, just nice, just the right size. Just to talk about the constructions, and while I do that, start to do that, I'm gonna put a video of me having a little moment, you know, fashion show moment with this tee, so that you can see it in full and worn. So this is a bottom-up constructions. We start with it's knitted around, so there's no ribbing with this garter stitch on the hem, so start with the hem with the garter stitch. Then as soon as we finish this, then we do some short rows. A couple of things about the short rows. First of all, Carrie Bustic Hodge always uses the Sunday short row technique, which is a technique that you use a waste yarn to mark your wrap and turns. I was too lazy to do that, so I did some German short rows, which is just fine. The main thing with short rows is that you just need to make sure you correct them by really, you know, when you do your correction row, just make sure you tap the two sort of bars. It's not really two stitches, but look, yeah, but the two bars at once and knit them together. So otherwise you're going to get a gaping hole where your wrap and turns is. So I did the German short rows. The other modification I did on the short rows is that the moon tea is actually much longer in the back than is at the front, so much so that the front looks actually cropped, because it tilts so high in the actual pattern. But I didn't want that, so I only did half of the short rows that is recommended on the pattern. So I do have a little bit of a deeper hem, but not massively. So, and that is just fine. It worked out brilliantly, so that's good. And then finish the short rows, then carry on knitting the round. There's no shaping whatsoever, so knit until we separate the front and the back, so that we can put the arms afterwards. The front is then split in two sections because we're going to do the v-neck, and it is worked at the same time, each side at the same time, so there's two balls of yarn attached at once. It's a bit fiddly, but it's nothing major really. And then we work the decrease of the v-neck as well as the short rows for the shoulder shaping. And then once we reach the top, we put the stitches on hold, and then we start on the back, which obviously is only the shoulder shaping because there's no v-neck. I can't remember if there's some sort of shaping in here. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, and then with the live stitches here and the stitches on hold from the front, then the pattern I think tells you to do a 3 needle bind off. I do not like a 3 needle bind off, but I do love Kitchener stitch. I do love grafting, so I grafted. I don't know, I have a problem with 3 needle bind off. It doesn't hold when I do it. I don't know why, I just don't like it. So I do some grafting, but you know, I don't think I'm half bad at grafting. So yeah, so that's all done. So then it's just a matter of picking up stitches for the little sleeves, which are just straight. Are they? Oh no, there's tiny bit of shaping, sorry, the tiny bit of shaping, and then it's finished by a couple of rows of garter stitch, and that was it. I do like it. I did wear it once in Montreal, because that was what I was knitted it for, to have this sort of woolly underlayer, and it's fine. I might be able to wear it again in the spring. Unless it goes very cold here before the winter is up, and then I have to layer it as well. But otherwise in the spring I think it'll be nice with just a lighter cardigan, you know, as that'd be nice. So we shall see. Other project finished that also related to Montreal is the socks that I was knitting as I was traveling. This was my travel socks for this one. I had finished the first sock before going, so it was really only the second sock, I think. Anyway, these are the Nora socks from Yuka. Nora socks from Yuka, which is my new favorite sock designer. Yeah. So the pattern is £4.35. But then Yuka runs this offer on our Ravelry page. I think if you buy 3 patterns you get some sort of discount, which is nice. The yarn is Ovis, etc. This is Campish Hide Sharp Sock. But so Ovis, etc. she's from the Netherlands. So this must have been a local yarn. However, she doesn't seem to have this yarn anymore. When I went to the website to link it on my previous episode where these were work in progress, they didn't seem to have it. So obviously I did buy this at the Nottingham Yarn Expo in 2017. Do I remember how much it cost me? No. Maybe a bit less than £10 per thing, per skein. They're 50-gram skeins. I can't remember. But yeah, so but the colors, she still does the colors. So you find them in other sock yarn bases. The light blue is Delft blue, and the darker color is New Jeans. So yeah, so what about this pattern? Except that it's great because everything Yuka does is great. It's a top down, so I did the M2 size, which is a 64 stitches cast on, which is what I usually do anyway. I did it in 2.5 millimeters, which is my needle size, and Brunette says hello, as you can hear. Oh, she's going into her box. Oh my gosh, she never goes into the box. Oh, that is so cute. So yeah, 64 stitches in 2.5, which is my normal sock thing, so that's good. Cuff down, so we start with the massive ribbing, and then there's like this texture thing, leg pattern, which is actually really easy to remember. It's nothing complicated whatsoever. It's quite, you know, straightforward. So there's that. It's quite straightforward. It's actually just slip stitches that just, you know, just moves by one stitch, one row to the next. So once you get the sequence in your head, it's like really easy. It's actually you can see where you need to start your next slip stitches, and then it's the reinforced heel with heel flap and heel turn and gusset. And then obviously on the leg we only do the thingy pattern. Can we see better here? Maybe the slip stitch pattern only on the top of the leg, and then there's like a very long sort of toe section with actually a lot of stockinette, kind of like, you know, with you've got your very long cuff, so you've got your very long contrast toe, and I quite like that. Actually, it's quite fun. So so yeah, I do like it. I do like the look of these. So I think I'm gonna put them in the sort of box of socks that I'm gonna, you know, not reopen unless I top it up with new socks. But I'm not actually gonna reopen for using the socks until later this year. I don't know, maybe my birthday, because so that I can use them for the autumn, or Christmas. I think birthday, so that I get to use them. I don't know, we shall see. But yeah, I think I'm gonna put them away for a wee bit to rediscover next cold season. There you go. Or maybe a Socktober box, so that I'll open it on 1st of October. Oh, that's a good idea, that. Anyway, moving on to the third project. Let me have a bit of water. The last finished object, which was pretty much a finished up, like a very close, near finish object last time, is this cardigan, which is the Solbane cardigan by Mary Jane Mocklestone. This is a pattern that you can find in the Making magazine number 4, which is the lines inspired one. Solbane, which is this one. This is written for Let's Lopi yarn, the Icelandic yarn. I have used Black Yarn Tour, which is their Black Yarn's 13th anniversary yarn. So that was Yarndale 2018, I think it was. Yes, it was. Yeah. So so the pattern I can't because the book was gifted to me, so I'm not sure how much it is, and I can't remember if it is available as a single pattern now or not. I'm not sure. The yarn, obviously, the 13th anniversary was a limited edition. There is not anymore. So again, how much does this cost me? No idea. I would like to think this must have been in the 18-19 pounds a skein, 100 grams. Black Yarn Tour is a iron weight, and the composition is 50% Romney Cross, 28% Merino Cross, 5% North Ronaldsay, and 4% Shetland. That does, oh, 8% British alpaca. I was thinking that doesn't make 100. Hey, there you go. So yeah, so there's some really soft stuff, and the merino and the alpaca, and also some a bit yarn with a little bit of oomph, like the Romney and the North Ronalds and Shetland. So this is a lovely composite. It's a lovely yarn to wear. I do love wearing it. I've used the color Rundlestone, Leaden, and Undyed. Obviously the Undyed is this one. I don't know which are the other ones, which is which. I'm gonna put me having a spin in this cardigan in full while I'm talking to you about the construction again. This is a top down cardigan. We start with the rib and then we crack on with the color work section. This is only in the round to be sticked afterwards, by the way. Yeah, so color work, and then a few rows before of stockinette before we separate for the sleeves. So put the sleeve stitches in hold and then carry on the body, which has no shaping, and then there's a little bit of collar work at the bottom before going with the ribbing for the hem. And then the sleeves picking up, there is shaping on the sleeves, and then there's the little bit of the collar work, which is the same as the hem, same with this. Then reinforce the sticks. I did it with the crochet technique because, again, lazy bum, couldn't go up to do it on the sewing machine. So yeah, it was just, I didn't want to do it. So I did it with the crochet and then cut, and then pick up the button bands, and there you are, that's finished. Well, except that obviously the little finishing touches, which is sewing a ribbon to protect the sticks where it's been cut. I mean, it probably won't move, but it just looks a little bit prettier, I suppose, a bit nicer. Usually I'm not huge on, you know, anything that you can't see. I don't mind if it's not pretty, but I suppose if it's open, you know, you might see. I mean, I didn't do a great job. I'll be honest, if I find another ribbon that might be more appropriate, I might change it, because I just wanted to finish it quick. So I didn't look for the ribbon for bloody ages. I just went to the first one, and I saw that I had this sort of right color. Couple of things. So the modifications that I did is that I found, where is it? So if you look at little Missy here, you'll see that the neckline is very high, and I don't like personally wearing something that's gonna grab me to the neck a little bit too much. I have a bit of this problem with boot necks sometimes. I feel it's just that thing that anyway. So I didn't want the bit to be so high. So what I did is that I started the sweater, and I cast on the stitches with the amount of stitches that I would have after the first row of increases. So basically, as I said, you start you do your ribbing, and then you crack on immediately with your color work section, and then very quickly after maybe 3 rows you get your first round of increasing. So I started that, so effectively if I had done the actual sweater, I would have had maybe this much more of a sweater, but I didn't want it to be so high, so I just did that and then cracked on with the charts there. So I've got a little bit, like a few rows less of color work than I should have, but that's, I don't, you know, I'm very much happy about how it turned out, because it doesn't you know, doesn't bother me with this sort of neckline. It's deep enough for me, so that's really nice. So that's really the only modification I did, is that I just, you know, started the sweater a few rows below what I should have done. The other thing I wanted to talk to you is my top tip for go buying your buttons at the haberdashery. I bought mine, by the way, at Duttons for Buttons, as well as the ribbon. For those who know Yorkshire a little bit, Duttons for Buttons is the button heaven. Basically, it's like rows and rows of buttons. It's amazing. I do love this shop so much, and you can get quite lost trying to find the right buttons. So what I do, I'm somebody who does a swatch. This is the ugliest swatch that you ever see, but never mind, it did the trick. Just to see the needle size, which, by the way, the needle size, that's a good thing about this sweater, is that it's very thick. Needles, just it's between 5.5 and 6.5 millimeters, so it just flew off the needles. That was lovely. And it's not, you know, it's not, well, it's a little bit breezy, you know, like if I see, you know, it's a bit, well, obviously if I just but you know, it's not wholly. Anyway, so I go with my gauge. So I need a gauge, and then what I do on my little swatch is that I need a tiny button hole thingy. So then I go with this to the shop. It's got all the colors that I need. It's got the little buttonhole so that I can try the button, because I don't like when people tell you which size button you should get for this pattern, because it's very much depending on what your gauge is, especially when it's like yarn overs and then you knit again, and then, you know, if you got a tight gauge, then obviously it's going to be a bit smaller than what the designer might have and things like that. So I just much rather like trying the buttons, but obviously carrying the entire cardigan to the shop is not an option. So I found that knitting a little button band with a little buttonhole is just nice, just fine. So I'm very happy with my button choice, because it's got all the colors of my cardigan in it. I love it. So I think that's it for this finished objects, and I shall be moving on to the works in progress. Now on to the works in progress, and you know how I said that the cat got into the box like 2 minutes ago, not even, as I was finishing the finish objects. Well, between the finish objects and now, I went to brunch with a friend, and so I left the house. Bugnette was in the little box that was so cute, and I came back. She was still in the box. She still is in the box. It's like she's having the nap of her life in that box. It's adorable. So never mind that. Back to business, works in progress. I'm gonna go quickly over the details of the works in progress. I mean, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about each, but you know, I'm not gonna go into like many details about in depth into the constructions of things or the cost or things like that. I'll leave that to when I present them to you again as finished objects. I think it's a little bit better, and you know, at least I don't have to repeat everything every time. But yeah, so it should be a bit quicker. So just that. So the first works in progress is one I presented to you already before, and one I worked on during my trip to Montreal. Yes, well, no, it's not the last time you're gonna be hearing the word Montreal in this podcast, but you know, it is actuality. It is news. This is the Fika shawl by Carrie Westerman from the Hygge collection. Let me get the page again. Here. This is it. The Fika shawl by Carrie Westerman. This is a shawl I'm knitting for my mom. This is like a Christmas present, but I didn't go to Christmas. I'm only going next month. So that'll be finished by then. The yarn I'm using is the John Arbon Textile Devonia 4-ply in the Sandbar colorway. The Devonia is 50% Exmoor Blueface, 30% Bluefest Leicester, and 20% Wensleydale. It is a lovely yarn to work with. I've worked with it before, so there we are. Although every time I look at it, it's got a different color. I think when I bought it, I thought it was a little bit lighter. Then sometimes I feel it's a bit more browner, and then I feel like I can see it as like a little bit more golden than I thought it was. So, and if I put it in the right direction, obviously it doesn't look much just now because it's so crunched up on the cable that's too short, obviously. But yeah, so I mean, I'm just about to finish the border. I think I'm just going to finish this section. So I've got about 2 or 3. Am I going on 2? Yeah, 3 rows, and then I'll bind off, and then I'll block it. It's quite large. I mean, I thought so I've knitted this Fika shawl before, but it wasn't a yarn that was much thinner, much finer. So and I thought when I cast it on this one that I wanted to do as many repeats as the one that I did before, but it turns out this yarn being an actual 4-ply, not a light fingering or lace, that it is bigger naturally, so I did a lot less repeats of the lace chart, and I find myself just winging it to whenever I want to stop with the other charts. You know, it's just a seed stitch or something, so some serial of some kind stitch. So I'm just gonna finish this section, or maybe just knit the next round, and then I'll bind off and they'll be done. Visiting my mom in February, and she's making me a sweater in exchange, which she has nearly finished too, so good timing there for Christmas knitwear exchange. The next project is a fresh cast on. It is the where am I? I need to find the page again. No, it's not here, is it? Oh yes. Oh, there we are. It is the Timber Hat by Megan Fernandez. This is this lovely hat with the little strand of mohair doing some interesting things on it, and it is from the Pom Pom Quarterly issue 30, which is autumn 2019, so last autumn. yeah, so this pattern is called for I suppose a worsted weight, DK worsted weight, double stranded with the mohair. I am using the following yarns. The main color is, well, the DK weight has no main color, they just both run, there's no more one color than another, so there you go. The DK weight I'm using is this Shellridge Yarns Soft Touch DKW in the color Caribbean Waters. I've bought this, when I say there will be a lot of deep stash going on this podcast. This is also a yarn I bought in 2014 during my first trip to Montreal. This is from La Maison Tricotée. I'm not sure this yarn is, this brand of yarn, this dyer is still in business. But this is lovely, and if you have seen my Yarndale episode, I think that was the one in published in October, you will remember that I took this yarn because I found that it was a bit too solid for me to be inspired to do something with it, and I went to search for mohair with it, which is this one. This is Rainbow Heirloom Kid Silk Cloud in the Old Lang Syne colorway, which is obviously your usual lace, kid mohair lace and silk. And so this is tangled. Problem with magic loops, I suppose, is that everything gets tangled. There we are. This is where I am just now, so not much, but it's going steady. So I did the ribbing. We'll start from the bottom, as you can see. With the ribbing, it is a twisted rib, but we twist the stitch on both knit and purls according to the pattern. I really do not like doing twisted purls. So I decided I'm just gonna do like a lazy twisted rib when I'm just gonna twist, knit on the back loop, through the back loop, only the knit stitches, and just do normal purls. Except that coming to a point, so this is the way it looked like as I was knitting it, and then obviously I realized, oh, I need to fold that brim, but if I do, then I end up with the less nice side of my ribbing facing. So what I did before starting on the body is that I did a quick wrap and turn German short row, which honestly you can hardly see. I mean, you just can't see. Before I started the so yeah, the body, so that I would reverse the direction of knitting, and therefore it would give me this facing as I knitted. And obviously now if I you know, fold the brim, it's the nice side of the ribbing. So there we are. So and then the body of the that is going slowly, the body of the hat, I suppose, because it's mostly purl stitches, and then there's like knit stitches and slip stitches that makes this lovely pattern. But this is knitted only with the mohair. We double strand everything on all the purls, but this sort of line and the little crisscross is only with the mohair, and it gets a bit tricky because obviously it took me a while to manage to set my yarn in front of me and like kind of hold it in a way that it would not tangle so much, because I think when I started did the first couple of rows, it was just getting a knot every few stitches, and it was just spending more time untangle it every time I needed to use just the mohair, because obviously, you know, you've got, you know, you're only using one strand, so you pull only one side, one yarn, and the other one sort of catches on, and it's not very great. It's not very easy, I suppose. Not as easy as if you were just knitting everything. So yeah, except for this little challenge, which makes the progress a little bit slower than expected, I suppose. This is not bad. I mean, you know, it's been a few places when I've messed up with my slip stitches, when I slipped instead of knit, and but I don't think it's very obvious. I think you can see it here. Yeah, you see, like here I obviously did it right, but here I must have completely forgot the net in the middle. So it's like a very long stitch, but I mean, you have to put your nose onto it to see it. So slow progress, but we're gonna get there. I really like the effect of this mohair with this yarn. I mean, they're pretty similar in color, but it just gives that little oomph, that little energy to the very solid blue that I had to start with. It's just really lovely, actually. I really like it. It's very subtle, but it's just absolutely brilliant. I do like this combo. So I'll be looking forward to it. I'm not sure if you see on the picture there's a pom-pom. I'm not sure I'll make a pom-pom. I don't know. I do like a pom-pom, but not on everything. I'm not that big a fan of a pom-pom, and I certainly do not like this tiny pom-pom on top of a big hat. So if I have enough to make a giant pom-pom, I may do so. Otherwise, I'm just gonna leave it as, because I think the texture is nice enough just on its own to leave the hat alone. Anyway, and then another new cast on, the first sweater cast on of 2020 is in this Line magazine, which is the issue 2, which is my favorite. It's got so many things, so many patterns in there that I want to do. Like, I think the next one I'm going to do in here very shortly is The Birth of a Feather by The Shawl by Andrea Murray, which everybody knows about. I am making, anyway, I've cast on the Morning Fog with this cardigan here. The Morning Fog by Jonna Yetala. I am absolutely butchering that name. I do apologize. This is a very simple raglan cardigan. I think the special thing about it is that it's very on a very loose gauge. The pattern is knitted with 2 strands of mohair silk lace, double stranded in a 5.5mm needle, so it's very airy. That's very lovely. I do like this sort of light and fluffy aspect, and I wanted to keep that, but instead of using 2 strands of mohair, I've decided to knit this in my newest yarn base. So this is Phileas Yarns. Oh, let me get this again. No, that's the wrong side. I've decided to use my newest yarn base. This is Phileas Yarns Voyager Fingering. This is, like its name says, it's a fingering weight, but it is 50% Corridel and 50% mohair. So we do keep the aspect of the fluffy mohair, but with a bit of proper wool. So it's obviously it's a thicker yarn, and I did mid gauge using a 5mm needles, which is fine because actually that means I can use the same cable when I need to switch to the lower side, the smaller side needles for the ribbing, because obviously this is all in the loose gauge, but when it comes to the ribbing we go back into a normal sort of fingering needle size, so that it just crunches and holds it together, I think. So yeah, obviously it looks a little bit a mess because it's been crunched up in my Woolly Original bag. This is what I took for brunch to work on because it's stuck in it back and forth for miles now. So this is a simple raglan construction. You know, there you go. Start from the top, do your raglan increases, put the stitches for the sleeves on hold, then carry on the body straight, then ribbing, then sleeves, and then neckline, collar thing, button bands. There you go. So the colorway from that I'm using is Renisfiara, by the way, which is Renisfiara is a beach in the south coast of Iceland. That is quite famous, actually. That's a lot of it's very postcard Iceland, Renisfiara beach, and it's obviously a volcanic beach with black sands and lots of black and grey rocks everywhere, basalt thing. So yeah, it's gonna be a good stable piece of my wardrobe. Probably more getting into the spring when you just need this sort of lighter layer on top of things. So so this is good. Nothing special to tell about this one. Hopefully that's gonna grow fast enough. So there we are. I think that's about everything I have to tell you on this. Oh yeah, sorry, the morning fog. Just a quick thing about the size that I'm doing. I'm doing a size M, medium. Again, I'm doing it with a bit lesser ease than is recommended, but then it's either lesser ease or a greater ease. And I think I don't want it to be too loose. It's already very loose on the fabric looking, so I don't want it to be like I want it to look like a cardigan, not a shawl. So the finished size bust for the medium size is 102 centimeters for the bust, so it gives me a 6 centimeter ease instead of the recommended 10. But I suppose, like I said, better not enough. And you know, I might just be able to just, you know, block it a little bit more if I need to. But yeah, so there you go. So now I'm gonna take you explore my stash. Hello again and welcome to this corner of my craft room, which really is the spare bedroom, but you know, when there's no people to stay with me, then the yarn is taking over everything, and fabric and everything, anything crafty. This is the shelf when I store my stash, as in the stash of the yarn that I buy, not my, obviously I've got the whole lot behind the camera. That is the Phileas Yarn stock. So I'm just looking at something I've lost. All right, over there, that's fine. Anyway, let's take the sort of weather forecast of my shelves. On these top two shelves here, it's very, very busy, and we've got risk of avalanches. This sweater quantity shelf, very, very overcast as well, very, very busy, but you know, we're hoping for you know, clearing up very soon. Here you can just make out the shawl shelf, and a few fluffy yarny clouds here, but it's looking pretty light. It's not bad at all. And then obviously we then have our sock yarn shelf, and as you can hear, it's very stormy down here again. Anyway, let's get cracking with what's in there. I'm not gonna link the pattern names and not gonna, you know, show you pictures of the patterns I'm gonna mention. I'll do that when I get to knit the things. At least we go a bit quicker, a bit easier on me. Hello. She got out of her box. Anywho, crazy cat. So this shelf is like the odd yarn skeins or yarn balls, and plus the leftovers and things of good quality yarn, things that I can use. Usually that's where I tap in when I need an accessory of sort. So yeah, there's loads of mittens that I can do there, loads of hats. I'm thinking this might be with some more hair and Siri hats, lots of things. So I'm not going to talk about this particular shells. That's just, you know, that's whenever there's no plans for this one. I can't have plans for everything. Actually, I do not really have any plans not set in stone. I just, you know, like to look at things. I like to do some things in terms like a general idea. General idea is that there's a gap in my wardrobe for cardigans, but also like plain, and I do have cardigans, but you know, they're not cardigans that will, you know, fit with everything, or especially fit with the fabrics that I have in my fabric stash. And I've been holding into making some items in sewing because I know that I have nothing that match with them. So so yeah, especially when it comes to making dresses and like smarter clothes that I can wear in the at work, then the aircon is I'm always cold, and then if I don't have a cardigan I can go with the dress I'm gonna sew, then what's the point of making the dress? So yeah, I do have a gap for some, you know, easy to wear cardigan. This is why I'm making the morning fog. So that is the first of cardigan of this sort of plan to fill the gap in the wardrobe, because I've got loads of fabric that are in grey tones, or you know, little grey highlights that a plain dark grey cardigan will absolutely fit with a lot of them. So this is it. Now, that being said, I do have a lot of grey in my wardrobe at the moment, and a lot of grey fabric or grey yarn that obviously I will make into something. I'm not going to just throw it out there. But that being said, I'm trying to veer off the grey to maybe use maybe more creamy, oatmeal-y, beigey sort of colors as a neutral, which I do like to wear, and I think actually is more my palette. I do wear grey well. It's probably because I've got grey hair now, but actually I feel like with my skin tone, the creamy sort of colorway, like the white and off-white and beige, is actually suit me better. Anyway, so in the category let's fill that gap of missing cardigans, we have this yarn which you will remember from my first episode. Sorry, the light is a little bit weird because the window is here and you can see the curtains, but obviously if I close it completely then I can't see nothing. You're not gonna see nothing, so but then that means we've got some weird flare going on. But anyway, this sort of aubergine plummy color there from that I bought in Norway. This is what you know, you may remember from my first episode because that's where I was. This is gonna become the Hezea cardigan by Marie-Amélie Designs. She's a French designer, and the cardigan is like it's well, it's a simple shaped cardigan, but it's got this popcorn stitch pattern, this little naps or knops or whatever you want to call it, these little bubbles, and then you've got lots of bubbles when you start off, and then it's sort of less and less bubbles. It gradually decreases the amount of bubbles as you go down on the cardigan. So so yeah, I think this is gonna become this. It'll be plain, but then they'll have this something interesting, which is nice. Then I'm gonna do, hang on, I need another skein. I don't know why I put it back over there. Never mind. I've bought this mohair of Ginger Twist Studio when I went in Edinburgh in December, just before Christmas, and I thought this color, I mean, I do like green. I started to realize green is actually one of my colors. Why do I not have enough green in my wardrobe? I don't get this. So yeah, this mohair, which I'm thinking, obviously this is pending a successful swatch, that I'm thinking of pairing with this yarn of mine, which is the Wanderlust 4-ply in the Acropolis colorway. I think this might lighten and warm up a little bit this color, so I need to gauge this. I'm not sure of if I don't have a pattern in mind for this yet, but I don't think it'll be something too complicated. I need to have a peruse. I mean, it's not like there's not pattern about double stranding a fingering weight and mohair anywhere in Ravelry at this time, so I think I'm gonna find something. And then I think the last one I'm gonna make in terms of filling a gap is a little bit more funky, but I think it'll still look smart, is this yarn. That's about right. That's an absolute great copper. What are you doing? This great copper color. She's distracting me. By Hainsworth's Print. Sorry, couldn't resist. She was tempting me. Hainsworth Prim, which is the knitting shed yarn. This is a DK weight, sort of Donegal nep thing, Donegal tweed style yarn with the little neps here. I mean, if you can see the neps a bit better if I get closer, but the color is a bit better when I take it. Or here, I mean, it's not great colors, but anyway. This is going to become a Stockbridge DK by Isolde Teague, which is a very simple raglan, if I remember well, cardigan. You know, I think with the neps, I don't want anything too crazy with this one. So yeah, it's just nice, you know, it's going to be nice to throw over things, just as well. I remember what I want to talk about, because she just lied down on my notes now. Oh yeah. So that's it. Oh no, last cardigan, but this is more like a, oh no, this is not the last cardigan, I've got another one. Then we've got this BioBalance, BC Garn BioBalance. What is it not doing? There you go, the focus, which I bought in Berlin in June. This is going to become the Evening Dew by Ririko, which the pattern is calling for a fingering and lace mohair or double lace or whatever, but actually woolly, and it's a boxy sort of shape. It's actually quite with a lot of ease, and it's got this little lace pattern that's like this tiny sort of flowers ish, or probably what it's called, Evening Dew, never mind. I've decided to try using this wool and cotton blend to make it a very summery piece, just to throw when it's like you somewhere warm, and sometimes evenings it just gets a little tad colder when there's a little bit of a breeze by the sea, kind of sort of scenery setting here. So yeah, so I've decided to do that. I want to do this by May, so by late April. The reason for that is I'm going to go visit my sister in Reunion Island in May, so I would like to have this because that's probably going to fit nicely the bill of throwing over my shoulders when the evening gets cold, cool-ish, by the beach in the Indian Ocean. Haha. So yes, and also I have bought, this is the yarn that I had bought in Montreal. This is the La Maison Tricotée Tweed. This is their brand and their commissioned yarn that, you know, from whatever spinnery, obviously not in Canada because this is a worsted iron made in Ireland, because it's a Donegal nap. But yeah, it did fit the bill of, like I said, me trying to move on to some more beigey oatmeal neutrals more than greys. And after much reflection, after looking at all the yarns and all the beautiful things, I just it was just the most reasonable choice for me. So I did support their shop. I mean, it's not Canadian yarn per se. I mean, obviously it's made for La Maison Tricotée, and so I've supported their shop and their thing, which I'm very happy about. Is the main thing. And yeah, it just fitted the bill of what I wanted to achieve in my wardrobe plans. So I thought, you know, it's, you know, at the end of the day, that's what won me over. This is an iron weight yarn, so obviously this is not, I don't think it's going to be knitted until next winter. And this is going to be a big sort of simple but textured cardigan. I'm thinking something like the Kahlua by Thea Coleman, or the Farmhouse cardigan by Amy Christophers. So simple with the texture, a very go-to cardigan will be nice. There we are. Okay, and then here, plus, sorry, I did take it because it was taking a lot of space, this cone of Iona. This is Iona wool. I've got some boucle laine, Hampshire, allegedly DK, but it's super thick. I've got this Bluefest Leicester Masson. Got some natural and the two blues, and also this grey marl thing. They all sort of the Gru collection of yarn. Remember, I was talking about my obsession for grey and blue yarn. It's like you know, it just happened. Well, this is it. This is it. However, I was thinking I would make jumpers of, like actual jumpers of most of them, but you know, kind of like looking for the references for this list of cardigan I just gave you. I came up with an idea, and I'm gonna use this one for a cardigan, which I'm quite excited because it'll be like well, basically this is a yarn that I've bought in Iceland in 2016, I think, which is lamb's wool, and it is, to be fair, it doesn't, yeah, that's the thing, that it doesn't give the length of, I don't know what sort of weight it is, but it is definitely an iron, if not chunky. So I reckon, actually, I've just noticed this is here. Yes, let's see if my theory, I don't know. This is Let Loppy, and I was thinking, I've got loads of Let Loppy. I've got some, like, this is what a friend gave me. Yes, it will work. I reckon that was roughly the same thickness of the Let Loppy, so I could, you know, I've only got 500 grams of this, and I thought, well, if I want to do something like a substantial sort of size sweater, I think 500 grams was a little bit short. Usually I would go for like this La Maison Tricotée iron. I took 600 grams to be sure I have enough to make the size that I needed to be made of, because I looked on Ravelry. I don't think I've thought much about this when I bought this yarn, so I thought a bit short. But I'm thinking I've got loads of colors and some other grays, so I think I could, you know, complement this into a funky cardigan, which I think I'm going to cast on next once I finish my mom's shawl, and so that I can wear it as a overlayer comes the spring, you know, when you don't really want to wear a coat no more but still want something a little bit warm. That might do the trick. So I think I'm going to play with this. Everything else, I think this is going to be a boxy maybe, and I think the idea that I had, I need a darker Let Loppy, but it's to mix a Let Loppy as well, because I'm not sure I have enough of this. The Iona wool, probably gonna be some sort of textured cabled yoke sweater, I'm not sure which one yet. And this Masson Bluefest Leicester Masson yarn, probably a palette cleanser by Susan Summers. And just to note that bar this Icelandic wool, which I said I bought in 2016, everything, including this Iona here, every sweater, bar this one, the yarn I've bought in 2019. I did buy a lot of sweater. I did buy a lot of sweater quantities things in 2019. I don't intend to buy as many sweater quantities in this year, 2020. I mean, I might do a couple maybe, but I need to think a bit more about things. Hopefully I'll get to knit a few of those before I get to a stage when I can buy more sweater quantities. Anywho, moving on to the next shelf, which is the shawl yarn. I want to do 2 shawls for sure. No, that's not it. Where is it? Here. I'm planning at least on making 2 shawls out of the few that I've got here. I've got 4 shawls and a big cowl. I want to make 2 shawls for sure. The first one is in this yarn here. I do apologize, the color is starting to oh, is that a bit better? Maybe a little bit. This is a French yarn, Teinture Sauvage. This is naturally dyed. This is literally means wild dyeing. And it's I can't remember the element she dyed it with. Obviously I'll talk about it more, but it's all the same sort of plant thing that she used for the 3 colors, but obviously different sort of mordant and stuff added to it, so it gets this 3 colors. This is going to be a solar flare shawl by Cetus Knits, which is it has brioche elements in it. It's huge and it's very, I think it's sort of an arrow shape, but quite wide, it's got some brioche elements in it, but it's not straight brioche. It's a little bit, you know, when you do a raw brioche and then you do a row that's not brioche, so it kind of like breaks it. It breaks it, not breaks it. Okay, so it's like a faux brioche, or I'm not sure how you call it. Again, I probably will tell you more when I get to knit, because this is gonna be knit this year, that's for sure. The other one that I'm gonna knit this year, and it's a big mystery, I'm a bit torn into which one I want to cast on first of them 2 shawls. This is going to be a bird of a feather by Andrew Murray. I mean, I'm guessing everybody knows what the bird of a feather is. Although usually I think the bird of a feather using like a speckled merino single and then the plain mohair. I had bought this woolen flower. Well, actually I didn't buy it, I did exchange it with Jules against some yarn of mine during Yarndale 2018, so it's not the last one, it's the one before. And yeah, looking for a pattern, I went into like, oh well, let's add mohair to it to bump it up. So I bought this mohair here. The woolen flower is like the softest thing you ever got to touch. It is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. It is so freaking soft. And this mohair is bare in sheep's clothing. Where is the thingy? This is her lace silk mohair, and it is in the millipond colorway, and I really like it. I didn't have the woolen flower yarn with me when I bought this one, but I think it's gonna be an absolute beautiful match. And although it's got 2 colors that I think I want to explore in my wardrobe, which is this sort of plum thing, which I absolutely adore and I do wear well, but I have very few things in this color, especially in terms of like fabric clothes, like sewing stuff. I need to explore more. And then this sort of copper caramel color as well. So I think I don't know between them two what I want to do. I might put a poll somewhere, like on Instagram. Which shawl should I cast on next? Okay. Then, if I've got the time, I think I would like to make this a cowl with this. This is the yarn that I've got in what you call it, fiber share. This is a Gotland yarn, and then I've got this other skein of unique Shetland, like the one I've used for my moon tea, but this was the contrast color for the original pattern I put the yarn for, which never got used. It's nice creamy, and I think it's kind of nice as a contrast. I think I want to do, it's big cowl which is all in Faroe Island. I remember seeing a pattern from Donna Smith, who's based in the Shetlands, and it's very modular. It's got like loads of charts, and then you just do whatever you want with it. So this was nice. And then yeah, so I thought them two color were kind of cool for some section, but I think in some section I'll just throw in the white. So it's just like, you know, or this creamy, it's not very white. So yeah, so that'll be good. And you know, it's like this cowl, when you start and you knit in the round, and then you make it long enough so that you can wrap it twice, and then you just join the two ends. It's like this massive tube that you can wrap twice around your head, which I know I've got one, but it's more like a cabled one, and I do love to wear this. It's really good, but it's more like a very proper wintry sort of thing. So maybe later in the year. Just to finish on the shawls, just going to show you the other couple of shawls that I have the yarn for now. Because again, I think I would like to, maybe that might be one of the purchase this year. It's like some quantity of yarn for something more on the creamy neutral sort of things, because I've got a lot of grey shawls, but not enough creamy, I don't think. So I've got this couple of skein of this Old Maiden Out Alpaca Silk Sport. Yoo-hoo, there we are. I don't know, it's making the focus, yes. And I've got this natural alpaca, which somebody, a friend brought me back from America a few years ago. I think I got this off the sale. I just totally, you know, impulse buy. I think I might do a side-by-side shawl, which I've made one before. It's one of my most worn shawl. It's a shawl. So I might do another one. Might be a little bit bigger because of the sport weight. So my bumper needle and might be a little bit wider, but that's not a problem. This girl likes a big shawl. Don't do one scale shawl here. And the other sort of shawl thing that I have maybe is this kit of minis by Beehive Yarns. This is the first installment of her Dark Crystal Age of Resistance club. So I've got this, I don't know, obviously you probably can't see through the plastics, but it is actually a Stellina yarn. But I'm thinking if I pair it with like a, this is my Explorer sock in Salt to Honey, so it's exactly the same weight and the same spin as the kit yarn. It's just not got the Stellina in it. So yeah, I'm thinking like you know, one of them patterns from Melanie Berg, where you know you can use a lot of minis. I think, you know, I have to find something that will fit there. So I'm thinking something like that with together. There you go. So that's it for the shawls. And then obviously, then sorry about the noise, we've got the stash of socks. I'm not gonna present them to you individually. I've got loads. There's not even all of them here. I mean, to be fair, I've got the leftovers. So there might be some going on there. And I know I've got a couple of sort of skeins downstairs as well. That I need to turn into socks. So yeah, hopefully there you go, I can tackle some of these. I've got plans for some already. So yeah. Let's get some sock knitting going on, but I mean there's gonna be a lot of traveling going on this year, so that's good. In terms of you'd think, Sylvie, don't buy any more sock yarn. Well, to be honest, I didn't buy a lot. This is quite old stash actually, the sock yarn. I think last year, so 2019, I maybe have bought maybe a couple, but then the rest is like swaps and gifts and things like that. And so yeah, I'm not, you know, yeah, maybe I bought, yeah, a couple only, I think. But the thing is with sock yarn, especially hand-dyed ones, is that I don't like sock yarn that has over 20% nylon in it. So usually if I find like a crazy beautiful colors and I look at it and I look at the composition, it's like 75-25, then I'm strong and I'm thinking no, because I'm not going to enjoy knitting with this. It feels a bit too much synthetic for me as a feel. So there we are. Usually that is quite nice. So but hopefully I'll get through there, and obviously I've got my own and like leftovers from me, my own hand dyed, and it's all over the shop. But yeah, but mostly I wanna, yeah, at least knit it up. I think I want to knit through the year. Obviously this is January, I've got time, right? But I'm gonna knit all of the cardigans here, and then I'd like to knit at least one of these, this sweater, probably this one. I've got this cardigan here. And also I meant to say about the sweaters, I've got two sweaters that are more like blanket sort of thing as a sweater, as in, you know, the things that are dragging forever, it takes forever to knit, you knit on them like now and then. And this is, oops a daisy, I'm talking too much and the memory card was full. So I was saying I've got two sweaters that are, you know, that I'll be working throughout the year, but as I feel like picking them up, it's no, you know, there's no race for them, you know, they're like sort of no essential piece to my wardrobe, but I do like working on them. So one of them you know already, this is the Calvagante by Rosa Poma, which is an all over brioche sweater, which I'm using 5 different sort of yarns for it. So maybe here, no. So yeah, the problem that I had was that I wasn't too sure whether it would fit me. Like, had problems with the gauge. I did hard block it, and what do I want to say now? And yeah, I find like width wise it's okay, but it's a bit short, it's a bit cropped, and I don't do cropped. So I could go with just lengthening the ribbing, or I could unravel and just carry on with the brioche a bit more and then just do regular ribbing. Then I need to do the sleeves, and I think I'm just gonna improvise on the sequence of the stripes. I think I'm just gonna make like a funky sort of sweater. So I've got that, and the other sweater which I have forgot to brought up, so I'm just gonna put a little image here as I speak, is the Strathendrick sweater by Kate Davis Design, which is an all over Fair Isle super boxy sweater. And how much I love Fair Isle. This is very long going because it's 450 stitches in 3.25 millimeters, all in Fair Isle, so it's a little bit intense to knit. It's growing slowly. Bloody love it though. I've got to say, I'm very excited to see it finish and to wear it. But I know this is more like a long haul kind of thing, you know, like a marathon of a sweater more than a sprint. The yarn I'm using as well is the Faro, is the Snelden, which I've bought at the mother shop, Snelden Motherland, the Faroe Islands. So it is very dear to me, this project. Well, I guess that's it for the so yeah, I think I'd like to finish at least one of them two marathon sweaters. So yeah, I guess that's it. So this is it. This is my stash. This is sort of the plan for the year. We'll see how much we get done of it. Okay, just to conclude this episode, and I just can't be bothered setting up the tripod to lower it and just fit it so that I can sit on the chair and yada yada yada. So I'm standing again just a few more minutes. Just quickly, shop news. I'm not used to do this, but I thought I'd just pop in and say this. I have created some dyed to order listings on the Etsy shop. There are two because of two sort of yarn-based categories. There is one for the Explorer, 80% merino, 20% nylon, which come in sock weight and sport weight. And there's one listing for the Wanderlust yarn base, which is 100% superwash Bluefest Leicester, which comes in fingering weight, DK, and now Aran. The Aran used to be a non-superwash Bluefest Leicester with me, but the supplier stopped doing this. So now we've got it's the same thing as the fingering and DK, so hence the Wanderlust Aran weight. So yeah, I mean, it's all in the shop. The dye to order is from 100 grams request. So, you know, if you see that you want a specific color for you pair of sock or to include in a shawl, but it's not in the actual listing for that color, then you can you know, you can request for it to be dyed to order. And for me, it's actually going to be easier that way to manage my stock, knowing what you actually want. So that's a nice thing for me. And for you, the benefit of the dye to order is when you're going to order some sweater quantities, because that means that the dye load is going to be consistent for throughout your entire sweater. You know, for the Wanderlust, dye pot takes 500 grams, and for the Explorer it's going to take 400 grams. So it's like an average sort of size, you know, medium sort of size sweater. I mean, not average, nobody's average, right? So it's medium size. But then if you go a larger size and you require like 6 or 7, 8 skeins of say DK, then, you know, I'll split equally between the two dye lots, so it's going to be way more consistent than if you were just getting some, one from here, 2 from that dye lot, 3 from the other. It's a bit, you know, hit and miss sometimes. So so there you are. I just thought I'd swing by. I mean, it's all in the shop, every detail, so, but I thought I'll mention it in passing. There you are. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for following me and watching this far. If you like it, just please, she likes it, please put a thumbs up, leave me a comment, it's nice. Do subscribe, tell your friends, and I will see you soon, very soon. And I hope you enjoy anything that you'll be making, and you know, don't stress too much about this new year and all the sort of resolution you could have made and you're not gonna meet and blah. No, let's be a stress-free year. All right then, see you later.